Hey there, in this video we're gonna go over how we send 1,000 personalized emails per day for commercial pressure washing companies. This is the same system that we use for Solar Conversion Lab, averaging 9 sales meetings per week, 2 new closed clients in 2 weeks, and added 3.4 million euros to the pipeline in just a month. We also use the system for Love Music Global, where we generated 41 interested prospects in a single week, including Adidas, Under Armour, Duolingo, Fossil, BMW, etc. So as you can see, this system actually works. In this video, we're gonna actually go over which email sending software you should actually use, how to build a spam-proof infrastructure to safely send 1,000 emails per day, and then also the safety measures to avoid landing in spam, and keeping deliverability high long term. So the first point is which software I would actually recommend you use. There are basically 2 choices to go about it. There's Smartly AI, which basically we use, which I recommend for other agencies or tech-savvy people, or Instantly.ai, which I recommend for beginners, as it's easier to understand and also easier to use, right? And you don't need Smartly if you don't really need the API features. One thing that is important to point out is that softwares like MailChimp or any other software used for email marketing are not usable, right? These are not optimized for cold emails, so avoid these at any cost. It's not the same as cold email outreach. Which brings us to the next part, which is actually the infrastructure setup. And the first point, which is really important, is that you buy separate domains, right? It's really important to never send cold emails from your primary domain, because it can mess with your client communication and you don't really want that, right? Then you send a message to your clients via email and they land in spam, or you send an invoice and it doesn't seem professional, right? So it's really important that you buy separate domains and send cold emails from there. What you do instead is buy lookalike domains. If your primary domain is pressurewashing.com, then you buy 17 lookalike domains with prefixes like mypressurewashing.com, trypressurewashing.com, usepressurewashing.com, etc. Once you actually bought 17 lookalike domains, we need 3 email inboxes on each of those domains, right? On each of those email accounts, you need to set up SPF, DKIM, and DMARC just to validate the email accounts and prevent landing in spam, right? But to be fair, to save time and money, you can use resellers that do everything for you, right? The whole infrastructure setup. For those, I recommend Premium Inboxes and ColdSire. ColdSire will set up Microsoft accounts for you, and Premium Inboxes will set up Google Workspace accounts for you, right? By the way, the main difference between doing it yourself and resellers is the IP and servers used to send cold emails. When you use Google Workspace, for example, it's less likely that you end up in spam because it's hosted on the actual Google network. But if you use, for example, ColdSire and Premium Inboxes, then you are on a different IP and a different server. So be aware of that. Which brings us to the next step of the infrastructure setup is you will have 51 inboxes, right? So 21 on Microsoft Outlook and 20 set up on Google Workspace. So how do we get to 51? Is fairly simple. You bought 17 lookalike domains and set up 3 email accounts on each of those, which in total will get you 51 inboxes. From those 51 inboxes, we want to send 20 cold emails a day, which brings us to 1,020 emails per day, which is what we're looking for with the system. Just a lot of volume so we can reach out to really any relevant person that is out there for your service. You might be asking, why is the split of Microsoft and Google so important? You have the option in the email software itself that you can match the inbox you send from to the inbox you are sending to, right? What this basically means is that when you send from a Google inbox, you will send the email to someone that is also hosted on Google, right? And this keeps deliverability just as high as possible, which is like a really cool thing to do. Which brings us to the next really crucial step, which is avoiding spam. To do this, there are like a few safety measures that you can do in order to avoid spam. The first one is warm up your email inboxes in the email sending software for at least 14 days. This email sending or this warm-up basically simulates natural sending and reply behavior, and you should always keep this on even when sending cold emails. The next thing that is really important is that you don't track open rates. They are totally inaccurate and actually hurt email deliverability. I know it's a really nice thing to measure, but we did the same thing like a year ago, but then eventually noticed, okay, this is totally inaccurate And with each email that we track opens for, we basically send a small pixel, which basically acts as a link and hurts deliverability, which brings us to the next step, is send emails without images or links. This just looks spammy, and it would drastically increase the likelihood of you landing in spam, because Google basically doesn't want you to send like thousands of links to random people. This just looks really spammy, so avoid that at any cost. And then, as I said on the slide before, match sending inbox to receiving inbox. So you send from a Microsoft inbox to a Microsoft inbox and Google to Google. But as I said, this is done within the sending tool, and you don't really have to make sure yourself that this happens. This is done automatically. Which brings us to the next slide, which is keeping deliverability high long term. This is super important. You constantly monitor your deliverability using tools like Mailreach or Clock apps. You basically insert your inboxes there, send emails, and get a report telling you if you land in inbox or if you actually landed in a spam folder. And then once you actually land in spam, then you should be really quick and replace the whole infrastructure, because otherwise your cold emails are not effective anymore. One thing to keep in mind as well is to slowly increase sending volume in the first 3 weeks. What this basically means that in week 1 you send like 10 cold emails, in week 2 you send 15 cold emails, and then in week 3 you can actually send 20 cold emails a day, which then brings us to the total of 1020 emails per day, which is nice. And then also when you see a drastic dip in results, this most of the time indicates, like if you didn't change anything like the lead source or anything else, then this is an indicator that the deliverability took a really hard hit, and you have to be quick and take action and replace the infrastructure as soon as possible. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, this sounds super complicated and you can't be bothered, but would still like to reach thousands of ideal clients every day, then there's an alternative. You can actually work with us and get 20 plus quote ready pressure washing leads per month, super specific lead lists of decision makers at ideal companies contacted, and we build out this whole system that I just showed you and maintain high deliverability long term. So you don't have to bother with like replacing inboxes and everything and doing everything yourself, which saves you a lot of time. And then you get also access to the best local cold email specialists in the world and save $48,682 per year on an SDR salary, who can only send like 30 emails per day. We can do like personalized outreach to, like as I said, thousands of people every day using AI. So yeah, if you're interested in how everything works, there will be a link below where you can find a video on our landing page where we go through everything, how everything works, and then from there you can actually book a call if you're interested. I hope this was insightful, and if you need anything, let me know and I will be sure to answer your questions. And until then, I will see you on the call. Bye bye.